And after that, there's the post office. It's a really interesting looking one. It's got a round roof, kind of a fancy looking building, and there's a traditional metal blue mailbox sitting outside. And there's actually a really high post with a mailbox on top. And it's towering over the main building. And Robin just flew up there and I think either put a letter into the box or, yeah, put a letter inside it. So they've really designed this world to accommodate these characters of different shapes and sizes. So it's like the mailbox is a big sign hanging over the post office, but it's actually a real mailbox up high for the birds to reach. Now, this post office has a walk up window, and who do we see there at the counter? Oh, it's Snail! Just like from the book story about the letter. And of course, you guys all know what happens here. Frog says hello to the snail and shows him the letter. Said, will you please take this to Toad's house and put it in his mailbox? And Snail says, sure, right away. But Snail also says that she never delivered a letter to Toad's house before, and it'll be his first. And we also get a look from inside the post office building, and apparently there's a little ramp that Snail sort of slides up to get up close to the counter. I also noticed that right underneath the counter on the backside, there's these blue tiles there. It almost looks like something that the Postal Service would have added in the 90s. Like, this is a really historic building, but like they add a few things to it later to make it look more modern. I'm probably the only person who would notice a little detail like that in a cartoon, but that's me. And seeing the snail handle all the letters with his mouth, or her mouth rather, kind of reminds me of Booker T. Bookworm from Barney and Friends. It was the bookworm puppet that worked in the school library, and he would always grab the books with his mouth, and he even would stamp the books by holding the stamper in his mouth. Makes me think of this snail here now. And after Frog leaves, Snail says, next stop, Toad's house, duty calls. And she slides down off the ramp and is getting ready to leave the post office. I wonder how she opens the door. I don't think we get to see that, though. Do we? No? Okay. And Frog's heading back to Toad's house, and the design of Toad's house looks exactly like the way it's designed in the book, if I hadn't mentioned that already, with the front porch along the side there. Very iconic style. And then, of course, Frog runs back to Toad's house, and Toad is no longer sitting on his porch. Frog wonders where he is, and he looks in the window and he finds Toad taking a nap. And pretty much everything that happens next is exactly like the book. Frog tells Toad that he should go out and wait for the mail some more, and Toad's like, no, I'm never waiting for the mail again. And Frog keeps trying to get Toad to come out of bed and wait for the mail, but Toad refuses. And Toad says, Frog, why do you keep looking out of the window? And Frog says, because now I'm waiting for the mail. Toad says, but there won't be any. Frog says, oh, yes, there will. And Toad's like, oh, really? How do you know? Frog says, well, I was kind of hoping for this to be a surprise, but I know you're going to get a letter because I have sent you a letter. And that's what does it. Toad gets excited, jumps right out of bed, and runs outside to the mailbox. And then Frog says, Criminy? Is that supposed to be like an alternate version of Jiminy Cricket, like an interjection? Criminy used to express surprise or disbelief. That's new to me. Never heard that in a cartoon before. So now Frog and Toad are outside. Toad's all happy that he's finally going to get a letter, and he asks Frog what he wrote in the letter. And Frog says, I wrote, Dear Toad, I am glad that you are my best friend. Your best friend, Frog. And Toad says, oh, that makes a very good letter. Now here's a little interesting addition. Toad asks Frog, do you think Snail will be here with my letter soon? And Frog says, yes, quite soon. Quite soon is also what he said about the garden and how fast Toad's seeds would grow. But we'll get to that in a different episode. Then we cut to cut to Snail, who is sort of sliding along the path. Appears to be very slowly, but Snail's working hard. Says, phew, I'm really zooming today. I might even beat my record for fastest delivery. And then back in the mailbox, Frog says, "You know, Toad, it might take a while for Snail to get here, maybe a little longer than I thought. But Toad is so happy that he doesn't mind the wait at all. And instead of just sitting on the porch the whole time, in this version, Frog and Toad play checkers together on a little table and chairs out in the yard, lie on the ground watching the clouds. And then, hey, what do you know? Toad is reading a book to Frog, just like on the cover of Frog and Toad Are Friends. Except this version is right next to Toad's mailbox, and we're not surrounded by mushrooms like they are in the book cover. Okay, so apparently they did sit there all day, because we see Frog and Toad sitting on the front porch together, and the sun's going down. And Frog and Toad are sitting pretty close. Frog has his arm around Toad. I mean, these two friends love each other like family. They get along better than brothers. Almost like father and son, actually. And later that night, they got a blanket and pillows out on the ground. They're lying there watching the fireflies. So at least they're doing something together and not just sitting on the porch waiting all day. Just in the John Matthews version, it was just kind of, oh me, why doesn't he hurry? Do we have to wait this long? Yeah, the John Matthews version is a lot more depressing than this. I think I like this version better. Oh, and as they're showing us all these things, them doing the different activities as they're waiting, they've got these hand-drawn borders around the pictures, and we see like a white background around them. Like on the screen, they've got these squares with a picture inside, very similar to the illustrations in the book. So that's kind of cool. It's almost like they're putting the storybook onto the TV. And the last picture showed Frog and Toad having tea together on the porch. Now they're sitting on the porch again later, I guess. Maybe it is 4 days later. That's what the book says anyway. And Frog's sitting there, he's wide awake, and Toad's just kind of sleeping next to him. And Frog sees Snail coming along. Frog says, "Toad, wake up, here comes Snail." Toad runs over to the mailbox, and Snail says, "Jeepers, Toad, I've never seen you move so fast." And they say hello, and they talk about the letter, and Snail says, "Yep, I got it right here." And the reason he says it like that is because she's got the letter between her lips, and Toad grabs it and looks at it, and holds it close to his chest, and takes a deep breath. And Frog says, "Aren't you going to open it?" And Toad says, "I am savoring the moment." Just like in the previous episode with the cookies, when Frog tasted the cookie for the first time, he took it slowly to try to savor it, and now Toad's doing the same thing here with his letter. Cool. He says, "Good weight, fine looking envelope, beautiful stamp." And he opens up the letter and reads it. And sure enough, it says, "Dear Toad, I'm glad you're my best friend, your best friend Frog." And Snail asks what it says, and Toad reads it. And Snail agrees that it's a very good letter. And Toad thanks Frog and gives him a hug. And then Toad thanks Snail for the delivery. And Snail says, "Oh, I'm not done here yet. There's lots more mail for you today." And Snail shakes out her mail bag, and a huge pile of letters comes out. So okay, where'd all those letters come from for Toad? Oh, wait a minute! When Frog mailed the letter, he stopped and said hello to all the other animals along the way, and so everybody knew that Toad had never gotten a letter before, and so they all decided to write letters to Toad. Oh, that is brilliant! That was smart. Very great. And Toad even got a note from Robin with another shiny string, and Toad got a poem from Mole. The paper's a little bit dirty. I guess Mole does live underground, in lots of underground tunnels where there's a bunch of dirt and stuff. And Rabbit wrote a recipe for carrots muffins on a postcard shaped like a carrot. Did we see Rabbit earlier? I don't remember. Let's see. We saw Mole, and then Robin, and Mink. There was someone else too. Yeah, and there was Mole. I haven't watched these enough times to remember every detail. I'm just kind of watching it as I record and telling you what I see. But anyway, you probably remember what I said if there was a rabbit or not. If there was, I would have pointed it out to you. But Rabbit was originally from the ice cream story. She was one of the characters that was frightened of Toad when he got all messy and he was walking along, looked like a big brown monster. And Toad even got a letter from Snail herself, which looks kind of slimy. Is that supposed to be like Snail's saliva or trail slime or something? Ew. But that was still nice. And then it's time for Snail to leave. They say goodbye, and Snail says, I'm sure I'll be back soon to put lots more mail in your mailbox. Frog asks Toad, so, did you like your mail? Toad says, yes, I did.